welcome everyone. Welcome to the Conscious Chat. I am the Conscious Chicano, and today is Conscious Chat number 17. The topic is ancient monotheism. All right. If you guys just aren't about to enter, read the details below. If you want to get deeper, go to my Rumble account. Go start watching those videos there. My link is below. Also, if you want to contact me, add me on Instagram, send me a message. And if you want some resources or you just want to talk about, some of these topics, or if you want to get a hold of me, interview me on your channel, or you want to come on my channel, just message me. And also, I have a Twitter account. Go and add me there too. Just read the retweets and the tweets. We're exposing a lot of stuff there. And also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like the videos. Send some positive comments. Yeah. So we're here today on ancient monotheism. Man, this is pretty powerful. I actually came across a documentary through a friend of mine that's, we talk on Instagram and everything. And he told me to go check out a video by a channel called Inspiring Philosophy. And the title of the video is The Case for Ancient Monotheism. And I was like, I was watching that video, and I was like, wow, I was amazed on the the information provided there. It was also anthropological as well, and so I remember listening to some natives that were on YouTube, right? They were kind of like trying to debunk what's called wobbles, right? I forgot the name of the group, but there was a lot of Mexicans and some Native Americans out here, and and I guess they were trying to debunk a Mexican Hebrew Israelite, which I don't agree with, on their you know false doctrines a lot of times, but they were trying to debunk them, and I was just listening to their arguments. And one of the guys who was the leader came out and said that there were natives in the Americas did not believe in monotheism. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not true. I don't know where he's getting this from, because I've studied a lot of anthropology, a lot of native history, native philosophy. I talked to a lot of elders, you know, who even passed away, elders and scholars too as well. And that's just completely false on what that guy said, and I knew it was false. Um, so the meaning that his claim that monotheism didn't exist in the Americas as just straight out deceptive and a lie right there. And just because someone says they're Native American doesn't mean they're always correct either. Let me tell you this. So, um, you know, so I this guy he told me to go check out that video, so I went and checked it out, and I was listening into it. I was like, wow, I was amazed, and it just proved my point that I knew all along, and and the the documentary goes, um, it pretty much explains all the different ancient monotheistic peoples throughout the world, and it's just people think it's just Christianity or the Abrahamic religions that believed in monotheism, and that's not true. There was even many nations throughout the world You find them in the Middle East, like ancient. There's a case that the ancient Sumerians believed in monotheism. There's evidence of that. Um, there's a case that there's Aborigines, that believed in monotheism. Africans that believe in monotheism. There's Native Americans and tribes out here that believed in monotheism, and so I'm not going to say everyone did. Some believed in polytheism, animism, uh, different belief systems, but there is the case that the older you get in ancient civilizations, that they actually believe in monotheism. And what was surprising is they believe in a creator that's referred to as the Father. I'm like, wow, even the Father too. So I'm like, and so we got a lot of these liberals out here in Western society that are like all into feminism, right? Or the non-binary stuff, and they're trying to claim that God is a woman, or God is. They're trying to claim that the case for the whole non-binary stuff, right? Sometimes even a hermaphrodite. um, but a lot of these ancient beliefs out here, ancient tribes out here, they believed in the creator. Either the creator didn't have any genders, or the creator had was referred to as the Father. Ain't This is interesting stuff right there. Um, so wow. So if you have these modern people out here who are usually anti-religion or New Agers and all that, or feminists, or all into this non-binary stuff, they're over here trying to push their agendas all the time, But a lot of ancients in the past believed in monotheism, and they even referred to their creator as the Father. I'm like, wow, this is amazing, amazing stuff. So we have how's it going? Welcome to my Instagram and YouTube. How's it going, Corey? Thank you for your I'm mentioning that documentary that you actually told me to go check out, the case for ancient monotheism, and it's actually a great documentary. If you actually want to come and join me on YouTube on my channel and talk about this, it would be interesting because I just saw that video and I'm like, wow, lots of good insights. Yeah, if you can actually, if you want to come join my video, come to my chat and say invite me, and I can actually send you the link there so you can actually join me if you want to talk about this subject. but but yeah, it's just amazing, this documentary, lots of good information. And so what was commonly thought of, anthropologists would think that, oh, the most ancient belief system was animism or polytheism, and eventually later on, people evolved to monotheism, and so a lot of people try to use that belief, that I guess that belief right there to or that model of anthropology when it comes to the anthropology of religion. They like to think of that this is how people eventually evolved into monotheism, and their claim is that, oh, the most ancients were actually more polytheistic or animistic. And there was a particular anthropologist who was trying to make this case, but then a student of his challenged him, and he found evidence that the more ancient a culture, you look into the most ancient aspect of a particular culture, and you find evidence of monotheism. So he kind of flipped it around, and he says that the monotheism, there's evidence of monotheism being the oldest religion throughout the globe, and it's not animism and it's not polytheism. That he says that later on people evolved into what's called polytheism and animism, but there's evidence of ancient monotheism, and he goes throughout the globe and provides that evidence. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. And there's even African philosophers I mentioned in this documentary. If you just came in, I'm talking about some documentary. It's by it's a channel called Inspiring Philosophy, and the documentary is called The Case for Ancient Monotheism. And so it's challenging the belief that the most ancient religions are polytheistic or animistic. And it shows the evidence that the more older that you look into some of these civilizations, you find out that they believe in the creator, they believe in one God, and it's the case of monotheism there. The evidence is there. So this one anthropologists challenged the model that the most ancient is polytheism, animism, and then later on came monotheism. He flipped it and says, no, the evidence is showing that the most ancient religions out here believed in monotheism. They believed in the creator God, you know, and then later on they started believing in all these polytheism and animism and stuff like that. So it's very insightful. And then, so he goes throughout the world. He goes in Africa. He goes to the Aborigines. Um, he goes over here in the Americas, and just throughout the world, giving examples of monotheism. And this is very important because if you got into my chat and you're listening, um, I remember there was some Native American guy who was in charge of a group supposedly debunking what's called wobbles. Wobbles are like wannabe aboriginals, right? People claiming that they're native. But this guy was coming out and saying that there was no monotheism in the Americas. And I knew that was a lie. I know that wasn't true. Is because what happens is a lot of natives become so anti-Christian because of the colonial history, right? The bad colonial history of the white man. And then they reject everything about Christianity, which is not a good thing because it can backfire. Because Christianity shares a lot of common universals as well with other religions out here, other belief systems in some sense. And even Paul talks about that everyone has a sense of the creator, right? Or what you call natural theology, right? Where you look around the world and okay, you conclude that there has to be a great intelligence, there has to be a creator of everything, And so in this documentary, it actually explores a lot of indigenous beliefs throughout the world and shows that they, believed in the creator who created everything, who gave life to everything. Um, exactly what even a lot of the Abrahamic religions believe. And people think that the Abrahamic religions are the only ones that believe in one God, and that's not true. There's evidence of nations throughout the world, including the Americas. So when that guy claimed that there was no monotheism in the Americas, that's just plain out false. And I know it's false because I studied the history of religion, philosophy of religion, anthropology of religion, native, religions and philosophy as well. And you do come across the concept of the creator, of in their belief systems a lot of times. And I'm not saying all of them were monotheistic. Some were polytheistic, some were animistic, I would make the case that a lot of them were what's called panentheistic, not pantheist. Pantheist just believes in the creation and that's it, right? Or just worship Mother Earth and the sun. Some natives were pantheistic, but there was a lot of natives that believe in panentheism, which is different from pantheism. Panentheism believes in the creator, right? And all of creation is somehow came about through the creator and somehow is interconnected, intertwined to all my relations in some sense. And it's kind of like monotheism, but not exactly. Monotheism is like they panentheism and monotheism do believe in the creator, right? It's just a different way of looking at how the creator is related to creation. But there's even Christians who are panentheists. I'm actually, I kind of believe in panentheism in some sense, where the creator's involved in creation and interconnected, intertwined. I think like his power, right? The creator's power, God's power is throughout reality. That's what keeps reality going, right? And so there's evidence of scripture of God being omnipresent, right? And nothing was what made um, like everything that was made was through God, right? And is through everything that even exists is through God in some sense. So there's a case for panentheism and monotheism. I think they make more sense than a lot of these other beliefs out here. Um, so yeah, so natives did have monotheism or panentheism. I remember I talked to a native scholar named Jack D. Forbes before he passed away. He actually wrote a pretty good book. Was it Chicanos del Norte? He makes the case that Chicanos are native, and this guy was Native American. He's a scholar, and he worked with a lot of Chicanos, and he even set up a kind of like an indigenous community college out here in California, and it taught even Chicanos their own native history and culture and this and that. So I actually had a talk with him in person at UCLA, and I asked him because there was people, different camps saying no, like the Chicanos, the Mexicas, or the Mesoamericans, or even natives throughout Mexico. I go, were they pantheists or panentheists? And he goes, well, most natives out here were panentheists. He goes, they weren't, most of them were not pantheists. He says most of them were panentheists. So I was like, wow, interesting, interesting. But then you got these white liberal scholars coming out, like what's his name, James Maffei, trying to claim, oh, the Mexicas were pantheists, right? And they try to pull up evidence with modern Nahuatl speakers, right? Um, there's a criticism of that right there. Miguel Leon Portilla does make the case for a creator, you know, um, and there's other ones as well, anthropologists and everything. Um, and still, yeah, welcome to my yeah, there's a debate on that. So I'm very critical of James Maffei and some of these modern Nahuatl speakers because I remember when I was in the Mexica movement, um, Olin, I used to be involved with them. Olin told me, he goes, "Who are you gonna go to for theology, like indigenous theology? Are you gonna go to the ones who weren't trained into it, like the commoners out there, like who weren't trained in native theology, or are you gonna go to the scribes, the ones who were well versed in native theology?" He goes, that's there was like in Mexica society, there was a hierarchy, and certain people had, kind of like more insights indigenous philosophy and metaphysics than say a common person out there speaking Nahuatl, right? And so, and it makes sense because like even when out here in modern times, like, are you gonna go ask a mechanic about like philosophy, or are you gonna ask a scholar, about philosophy? So the mechanic may know some kind of philosophy at times, but he's gonna know more about his craft, right? How to build a vehicle or fix it and everything. And those who specialize, like say a philosopher, a scholar in that, someone who has a degree in philosophy, he may know more about philosophy. So it's very similar. So that's one of my criticisms. Like James Matthew is kind of like he learned from other people in the Mexicayo um, movements out here, and some of them are pushing atheism and pantheism, and I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because the more you study native cultures, anthropologies, and all that, the histories, and come across elders and everything, you do come across a lot of information that they believed in a creator. They believed in some kind of ultimate reality, which you can say is equivalent to like the creator in some sense. Um, but when they start pushing that pantheism, atheism, well, I don't think that was universal in the Americas. Maybe some nations believe that, but it wasn't universal. So, um, but after seeing this whole documentary here, um, you know, on the channel called Inspiring Philosophy, the case for ancient monotheism, he goes into different tribes out here in the Americas. Out here in California, there was a tribe called the Yukis, and they believed in the creator, and they have a whole belief system. It was like I was just shocked, like what they were saying, like, and it sounded like monotheist, like it sounds like the monotheism of the Bible. I was like shocked, but and a lot of the white liberals will come out and say, oh, they were just influenced by missionaries and Christians and this and that, and this is why they believe in that. No, that's not the case. Actually, this is actually their authentic belief systems. And in that film it even debunks that accusation. And there's even African philosophers who make the case that ancient monotheism existed in Africa, and they even accuse a lot of the white liberals or the atheistic liberals out here of being racist because the white liberals, claim that all Africans were polytheistic and animistic. They say it's racist because it's making the claim that ancient Africans were not capable of monotheism, that they were too dumb to be monotheistic. And so these African philosophers say that this is just completely racist, and there's no, and actually the evidence shows that ancient Africans were monotheistic. They did believe in God, one God, and the Creator. And I'm not saying all of them, but there's evidence of African nations, ancient ones. They say the more ancient you get, you start finding out they believed in one God, and you even could also go to even in the amongst the Aborigines. They say that later on some of them became animistic and polytheistic, but the more ancient Aborigines you get into their like in their belief system, the more ancient you find out they believe in the one God and the Creator. So I was like, whoa, this is crazy. This is amazing. Like, um, so we've been lied to in secular liberal society, especially in these institutions. And I studied lots of like religion, right? History of religion, philosophy of religion, anthropology of religion. And they kind of brainwash you in those institutions to think that monotheism is just a Christian thing or Abrahamic thing or nobody else had those beliefs, or all the natives around the world were polytheistic, animistic. That's not the case right there. That's not the case. And you do have scholars, though, anthropologists and all that, and scholars in the history of religion who do make the case of ancient monotheism. And they mentioned that there's a lot of them that believe in ancient monotheism. Another example that the film actually brought out was the Arapahoes, and out in the Arapaho people of the Americas, and they believed in the Great Spirit. This is where the Great Spirit concept comes from, and they believe in the Creator, the Great Spirit. They prayed to the Great Spirit, and I was like, wow, this is good stuff, like good information, and it goes even to the Incas too. So even the Incas, the more ancient you get into their religious beliefs, they believe in one God, the Creator, and is even referred to as the Father. So I was like, wow, amazing. So it's not just Christianity or the Abrahamic religions that refer to the Creator as the Father, but even amongst the Incas, they refer to um, the Creator as their Father. So all these Western liberal feminists or non-binary people, they don't like none of that stuff, so they want to push their agendas. But the ancients believed all this, and some of the first religious belief systems were monotheistic out here. So very interesting insights, and it's good information. I was like, wow, and so it's I would suggest people go check it out, man. Go to the Inspiring Philosophy channel and check out the case for ancient monotheism. The way I am is I'm kind of like a monotheist, panentheist, not a pantheist. See, people confuse them. Panentheism versus pantheism. There's two opposite belief systems, but I don't believe in pantheism. Pantheism is kind of like the New Agers or a lot of the atheists and all that. They just want to worship the earth, right? And some natives are like that too. They just worship the sun, the moon, Mother Earth, and all that. Not every nation was like that though. There was native nations that believed in the Creator, right? And some were monotheistic, some were panentheists, right? Panentheism believes in creation, but they also believe in the Creator, who's the origin of all of creation, and somehow interconnected, intertwined, and like they say, to all my relations, right? So, so I'm more kind of like a panentheist or monotheist, either way. I could go either way. So, but I do believe in the Creator, who's the origin of everything. I do believe in science too. You know, I believe in the Big Bang, right? Everything started, at one point, and I do believe the Creator is the one that caused the Big Bang, right? And it's like you can't create something out of nothing. See, the atheists try to promote that, right? That somehow all of creation just came out of existence out of nowhere, right? And that's not true. I actually believe everything that exists came from a being that does exist, who's referred to as God, the Creator. Many native nations around the world have different names for the Creator, you know, and I actually believe that that's what's called general theology. Paul talks about it. Like everyone has a sense that there's a God, there's a creator of the universe, right? Even science is now pointing towards that, Um, so interesting information, reflection on this whole topic, and yeah, it's just amazing. And yeah, the more you dig deep into this, a lot of the cultures and belief systems out here, it's like you start finding that they did have a sense of the creator, God Almighty, you know, and yeah, it's very interesting. Universal, um, and yeah, it's just like that natural theology, right? It's just everyone has a sense that there is a creator, that there's a God, you know, created everything. That's why I question a lot of this whole belief of atheism, you know, or agnosticism, or even polytheism. Like, oh, I even forgot that the documentary even makes the case that assuming that every native indigenous person out here, every nation were into ancestral worship, that's even not accurate. The more ancient you get, you find a lot of nations that believe in monotheism, and there's no evidence of ancestral worship. So we have a lot of these Chicanas out here getting into the brujeria and trying to connect and talk to their ancestors, necromancy, talk to the dead, right? And have all these rituals and this and that. And, well, the more ancient you get into beliefs out here, uh, the more more natives out here, the more ancient you get, it's like globally, it's like you find monotheism and no evidence of ancestral worship. And there's actually some African scholars in Africa, it says, to even accuse the Africans of just of not being monotheistic, but just being polytheistic, animistic, and people who worship their ancestors is even racist. And I'm like, wow, wow. It even challenged that. And and they even make the distinction: worshiping your ancestors versus just paying respect to those who passed away are two different things. So a lot of Westerners accuse indigenous people of worshiping their ancestors, when in fact they just it's just honoring them, of the honoring the loved ones who passed away, right? But don't get me wrong, I'm not too sure where this is coming from, but I'm thinking maybe the Westerners accused the indigenous of worshiping their ancestors when they weren't actually doing that. And then we have these Chicanas who are getting into this brujeria, new age stuff, and they buy into that accusation, and then they're influenced to worship the ancestors, to get their strength from the ancestors and this and that. That could be the case, but I'm not saying it's not always the case, but I think it could have sparked a reaction that way. But then there may be the case that some natives do worship their ancestors and do, they claim they get their power from the ancestors, which I have problems with it, and I kind of disagree with that too. But um, to me, all power comes from the Creator, from God Almighty, right? Um, and but there was natives out there worshiping the sun, right? Some say, well, they weren't worshiping the sun; they were just kind of like honoring creation, right? Honoring the moon, the sun, the earth, and all that. So I don't see anything wrong with that, Like even in Christianity, like God created, everything, and especially the earth for humans to take care of, right? We have this wrong concept in Christianity at times where it's actually a colonizer mindset that the earth is not to be respected, that it's kind of like that capitalist mindset where you produce more than, it's like you don't care for the earth, right? It's this whole industrial mindset, like you don't care for the earth, you don't care if it becomes toxic. All you do is produce, produce, produce for money, 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 right? And at the same time, you're being very destructive towards the environment, to the food, and all that. So I wouldn't actually accuse Christianity of that. A lot of people accuse Christianity as being the the origin of that mindset, and I don't think that's accurate. I think it's more like probably more like capitalism, greed, which stem from probably like feudalism, European feudalism. Actually, the Bible even instructs like humans to um, take care of the earth, right? Replenish it, right? Multiply. What did God say to Adam and Eve? To multiply, right? To and people think it's just children, right? Yeah, it was also children, but also it was like the healthy foods, the gardens, all that stuff. It's like to what's it called? Be good stewards. There's actually a Christian concept of good stewardship where you take care of the earth. But somehow down the line, the Europeans adopted this capitalist, feudalistic mindset where I'm just going to produce and make money, and I don't care about the environment, you know, and a lot of this industrialism has caused issues in the environment. But yeah, it's just interesting. Um, you know, Humans are like in native beliefs. We are interconnected, intertwined, right, with reality. So we have to have take care of to all of our relations, have compassion, to have take care of the animals, respect them, and treat them, as humane. I mean, as was it with much care. And I'm not pushing veganism either because our ancestors did hunt, right? But they only hunted when they needed to, right? They didn't overproduce and cause animals and species to become extinct, right? They didn't overly do that. And some make the case, well, now we have to do it. We have to do it because we have bigger populations. So not not always necessarily. I think um, I've seen lots of food being overly produced, and especially out here in these restaurants, and they're just throwing food away left and right. And then we have lots of homeless people out here not being fed, right? There is a problem with the system out here. But we have enough resources for everyone. Humans, there's this belief that, oh, we have too much of a population, and not enough resources. That's a big fat lie. It's all the rich hoard all the wealth and resources. So we need more of that being dispersed, amongst people throughout the world. We have enough resources for everyone. But yeah, it's just like I digress, right? But back to the topic of ancient monotheism, you know, you know, well, actually, natives and the Bible actually make the case that we should take care of the earth, as the Creator intended us to do. Take care of the earth, and even Jesus talked about having good relations. It says love God with all your mind, heart, and soul, and love one another too. You know, having good relations, right? So and this even there's a ministry that I'm involved called the Good Medicine Way, and it talks about it's a native Christian ministry, and it talks about Jesus who basically taught harmony and balance, wellness and stuff like that. So I was like, and it's not just individual, but it's communal as well. So very interesting uh, uh, insight in Jesus. And yeah, it's just it's just wisdom. It's just this wisdom to take care of the earth and what God has created, and to have good relations. Um, so, anyways, have good relations. with each other and with the creator and all everything, like animals, the earth, everything. So anyways, the case for ancient monotheism exists. If anyone tells you that monotheism didn't exist in the Americas, that's just a fat out lie. That's not true whatsoever. Monotheism does and did exist in the Americas. Okay, and ancients around the whole world, many of them, that the more ancient you get, the more monotheistic you find out that they are. So anyways, I guess I'm going to end it here. If anyone actually has some questions watching this or is in my chat, feel free to send me some questions or comments. Um, and let's see, or if I guess if no one's here, I guess I'll end it. um, so I'll just make some few comments, and if nobody and asks a question or anything like that, I'll just end it after my comments. So so if you want to get a hold of me, I click on my Instagram. If you want actually that documentary, The Case for Ancient Monotheism, I'll send you the link. Just message me on my Instagram. You could get a hold of me below, and also go to my Rumble account, click on that link, and watch those videos. It's just a lot of good information, dropping knowledge, exposing a lot of stuff out here. And also click on my Twitter, and you'll find some good tweets and retweets there, just sharing good information. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share it, uh, make some positive comments here. And I guess nobody sent the question, so I'll just leave it here. You guys have a good day. And remember, don't be woke, be conscious. All right, see you later.